Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'll be discussing the Apple 7th generation iPad with a 10.2-inch screen, which is the base model, and why I think this is actually the perfect device for students, especially in high school and university. So in this video I'll be covering my workflow using this thing, some other tools that I use such as pen, cover, things like that, as well as some of the apps that I use, as well as just reviewing some of the features of this device that I think are really well suited for students in particular. And especially at the price I bought it right around about $350 on sale, and it retailed around $420 Canadian. So I still think this is a good pickup for that price. And I'll leave links for all the accessories and everything I talk about down below. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So first, I just want to review the device sort of as standalone without considering, very specifics regarding how it's really good for students. So overall, it has a nice, pretty large 10.2-inch display, which has been getting bigger, and it's actually quite nice. And it has, physical home button, which is also quite nice. And it has a camera on the back, a camera on the front. And I think the camera on the back is especially important because, as I'll mention, you can really use it to take notes and insert it to your some of your favorite apps, like regarding lectures and things like that. So it's really nice. And apart from that, the build quality I think on this thing is really good for the price. And I think this is actually my first Apple product, and I'm just really I've not been disappointed by the build quality. It's really nice, metal all around with the Apple logo on the back, and it does have this connector for their smart keyboard. However, I do not use a smart keyboard. I don't think it's really worth that $100+ money. And I just think that if you're going to use keyboard, you might as well get something like a Chromebook on the side or something which has a way better typing experience. But overall, I think this device is really well built, and for the price, I think this really beats any other tablet, Android or anything else in this sort of price range. That's sub $400 price range. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is actually the software. In terms of iPad, before iPad was really just purely a tablet, sort of more media consumption and just doing, very sort of not really important or productivity tasks because it's so limited in terms of the software. But I think with iPadOS, Apple has really stepped it up, and they've continued to announce, changes and updates to iPadOS to make it even more functional. And there's things like these widgets, which I think are pretty cool. And I think the main sort of features that have been perks are really the multitasking. So as I'll show you later in some of the scenarios and the apps I use, having multiple windows open and multiple instances of the same sort of app is really helpful and really speeds up the workflow a whole lot. And I think Apple just integrates it in a really nice package, and that's what I really love about this. Now I want to talk about some of the hardware that I use alongside this. So some of the main hardware that I actually use is this case. This is like a folding case, which I think is quite nice because you can actually put it in here, and then you can essentially prop it up on sort of a desk surface. So I can sort of show you right now. It provides a pretty nice angle for you to do things with. So this is a viewing angle here. If you can sort of see, you sort of prop it on there. It's a nice viewing angle. And yeah, or I also use it sort of like this to provide a sort of tilted writing experience. And talking about writing, I actually use this sort of pen, which is a third-party pen that I'll link down below. And I just use this because it provides the same functionality as Apple Pencil, and it provides it for half the price or even less depending on which manufacturer you get it from. And obviously it isn't the same quality. It's a lot finicky. I've actually broken one of these because the tips on this is made of plastic, and if you drop it once and it lands right on there, it's probably going to break. But overall, the build quality is quite nice. It feels quite nice in the hand. Plus it has USB-C charging, and I'm not an Apple fan, so I don't have multiple Apple devices. I have a phone with USB-C, and other devices with USB-C, so this is a really nice bonus. And it's just really easy pairing. It just pairs right away. You just have to press this button on top and it gets to it. So highly recommend picking this up if you think the Apple Pencil is way too expensive, which I think it is, especially if you're buying something like this, $100 pencil on top of a $400 device. That's quite expensive, right? Additionally, one thing that I really like about this is that this case comes with this sort of a dock for the pencil, so it sits really nicely in here because, as I mentioned, it doesn't really magnetically connect, so it's really important to have something that sort of locks it in place and you don't lose it. So this case I would highly recommend. It's been pretty durable. I carry it in my laptop bag, which is quite protected already as it is, but so far no complaints regarding any of the other things that I've used, and I'll put the links down below as usual. Now moving on to why I think it's like really great in regards to sort of like the whole experience. So I think it really comes down to combining the pencil along with sort of the overall sort of iPad experience. And in particular, I use an app called OneNote by Microsoft, and I just think that's really the best app in terms of collaboration as well for note taking. I know there's a couple of really popular iPad apps, like native iPad apps that are really popular that aren't really cross-platform. They're really optimized, just for writing and things like that. But OneNote's really good for collaborating and typing as well as writing in its cross-platform. So I use it on my laptop, and it syncs up right in here as well. And there's like really a ton of great features on this, and I'll be covering more of it now. Yeah, so I quickly just wanted to show you my workflow. So I mainly revolve around Microsoft's OneNote app because it's really versatile and cross-platform. So as we can see, it's sort of organized in this basis of having notebooks, then sections, and then pages, and you can also create sub-pages, which is really cool. And one thing I really appreciate is you can actually share this, with your friends. I can't right now, but you can sort of send copies of like one page or share them your entire notebook, and multiple people can take notes in the same notebook, so everyone can see each other's notes and maybe learn from each other in a really cool way. And the drawing mechanism is actually really cool. So if I just go in the notebook, you can sort of see that it is coming here, and then I can just sort of draw. I'm like, okay, keep this in mind, really important. I'm like, okay, so this was 1911. Actually cross that out. We can just say it was actually 1913, etc. And then like, let's say I come across like a really important thing, and usually one thing I do, especially with this sort of feature where it automatically turns it into a shape, is I just sort of put a box around it, and that's just really nice. And then you can also increase the width of it here. So if you wanted to like a bigger box, a nicer box, you can do that. It's really easy to do, which is something I really appreciate. And you can sort of see that we sort of we use a variety of colors. And one thing is you can really easily drag it around. So let's say I'm just like, this should not be here, this should be in this section. It's just really easy to move it around, resize it as well. So it's just it's really easy, convenient that way. So highly recommend this. And one other sort of hack I want to show you is opening up these side apps. So I'll open this up, and I already have a couple of opens. I have Google Classroom and this Files app open, where I can reference my other notes or any other documents and sort of see any notifications from my teachers, as well as opening up a calculator app. So this is just an ultra hack where you can just sort of do it and just be doing like 95 times 4 equals whatever, right? So it's just really nice hack. So as a whole, after you've really looked at through the workflow that I go through as a student, using the iPad on a day-to-day basis in my school, I think it's just really a huge up, considering the other options that have been there for note taking and for students in general, which is like paper. Paper is great because you can write, you get that feel. However, it's not as fast, as well as I have to maintain paper, and that just takes such a just a large stack of binders and things like that. So definitely going digital is a very big incentive. But once you go digital, earlier you sort of had to choose by typing or having a very bad like sort of writing experience. And typing, I just think it's not really great to learn. It just doesn't help you learn the same way. And just handwriting it is just way more personal, and just helps you learn much better that way. And typing is still pretty good, but I use mainly the handwriting, as you've seen. And I just think combining this with the overall great experience here is just the perfect option for students. And for about $400, I think if you can pick this thing up, and an additional $50 or so for the pencil and things like that, the pen and whatnot, I think this is a really good combo for any students in high school or even university in terms of note taking, and just an all around sort of school, just using it for school purposes. And that's really what I use it for. So that's been it for this video. Let me know how you use your iPad, or if there's some other sort of suggestions you have for note taking for students, or any ideas for upcoming videos. And that's been it for this one. It's been Justin from Altech. Peace.